What's up everyone? Welcome to the channel. In today's episode, we are going to be installing an e-trailer's hitch on our Tesla Model 3. Stick around. Alright, so as you heard, we are going to be putting this tow kit on our Tesla Model 3. Now, this tow kit supposedly tows up to 2,000 pounds and has a tongue weight of up to 300 pounds. For me, this is perfect to be able to run to the lake and put a jet ski in the lake. And for those of you that maybe have bikes or want an actual trailer and don't want to have to use one of those weird things you connect to the back of the car, this is probably a good bet for you. And it's somewhat concealable, and it's a Class 3, so I'm pretty impressed with it. It's time to get into it. Alright guys, so getting into it right now, first thing obviously you got to do is get this thing up on a lift or on jack stands if you guys are doing this at home without a lift, and open the trunk. Obviously we need to be able to access the complete bumper. Now there are a lot of bolts that have to come off the bottom side of this thing to get this bumper loose, but essentially what we're going to be doing is taking all those bolts off, and we have some wiring to do prior to actually putting the hitch on and making sure that the wiring's all functioning correctly, and then we're going to go ahead and throw on the hitch. Follow with me, we'll start taking out some bolts. Now, being that I have a rear diffuser on this, I'll have a little bit extra work than you guys will have, but it's for the most part pretty much going to be the same thing. We're going to start off by taking all our clips in here down from the wheel well around. These are all just push clips that pop out. We'll get all those taken out, then we have some bolts underneath we'll loosen up before we start prying the whole thing out. Alright, and so with the inner clips out and the whole rear diffuser off, I went ahead and removed our hitch cover, which, believe it or not, it actually has a cover for a hitch. And all it is two flathead screwdrivers. You turn it 90 degrees, that thing pops right off. And then we have a ton of 10mm bolts. They'll go all the way around and down this back of this thing that we got to pull out. And then this whole thing should pop loose. Let me pull them out real quick. Alright, next up is our taillights. We essentially have two bolt covers that cover right here. And then if you peel back this right here, you'll see there should be two 8mm bolts, if I can point these out. One here, and one farther that's hard to see from here on the inside. And then our taillight should pull out. We should have some bolts underneath there we have to disconnect, and we should be good to pull this fascia off. Alright, so with the taillights disconnected and pulled out, and the two 10mm nuts that I talked about, one in each corner here, we should be able to pull this thing out right now just by separating it. Now, I'm going to do most of this. I can't do all of it because I got to be able to catch it, and obviously without my second hand I can't do that. But this thing just pops off all the way around, all the way down to this side. Same deal. Once it's loose, you guys got to pull this out. You'll see that there is a wire harness inside it that you'll need to disconnect. Alright, so I've decided before I get into electrical, I want to mount this thing so I can run the wires accordingly. Essentially we have 4 bolts on each side to take off. We have 1, 2, 3, and technically speaking actually there might be 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it looks like, on each side. So I'm going to take those out now, we'll see what it looks like. Alright, so what you're going to have to do now is you'll find that you have a bag of bolts conveniently hidden inside the hitch here. It's usually taped all together and you can't really see anything, but these bolts are inside here. So essentially what's going to happen, we are ditching these aluminum pans right here. These are no longer being used. You can ditch those, save them in case you ever want to take this off or whatever. But what's going to happen is you're going to have bolts that go through the back of this right here on this back side. Then we're going to overlay our aluminum bumper, and then we're going to lay our nylon washer and a bolt on top of that. So this is going to be one unit, and we'll bolt it all back on together. And so as you can see, there is our completed hitch right there. We're going to go ahead and throw the inner bolts, which are the corner ones, 3 on each side, back on. Alright, now I currently have them finger tight, but I want you to know that if you take out the 10mm bolt right here, you'll be able to access this inner one much easier. When you're putting it back on, because your bumper's on here still, you'll need to remove that to be able to get to that thing. Alright guys, so moving on to wiring, I've been advised to use this specific controller right here. I'm going to test it before I show you each individual way, but let me run down exactly what this is. So it tells you everything on this wire harness, exactly what it's supposed to be, like red the brake white, the ground is obviously white, and etc, etc. And what we're going to be connecting to, some people said they connected to this right here for main power, but this doesn't seem to need it for whatever reason. So again, I'm going to test this out before I have you guys do it, but here's a rundown. Most of the power is going to be running off the passenger side harness, which is right here. The red light is the turn signal, the left turn signal, the yellow is the tail light, and the gray is the brake. And then when we run over here to the passenger side, the brown one is the right-hand turn signal. So I'm going to tap into all those. I'm going to go ahead and connect some trailer lights to it to see if it works. If it doesn't, I'll know I have to go a different route, but right now they're saying that this works, so I'm going to try it. Alright guys, so our wiring is officially done, and if you're seeing this part, more than likely this probably works, or I'd probably edit it out. So with that said, I want to show you exactly what I got hooked up. So our main block is mounted, you can see down right there. I have the ground mounted to a factory ground block, which you can see right there, so it's a perfect fitment. Then I ran the black wire up and out. That's our main power that actually is going to connect to this main red wire. But I tapped in over here, and you'll see a picture I put above right now. That's what it looks like. Basically, it's tapping into the red, and I have it all taped off, so it's kind of a factory OEM look. And then, of course, we have our brake light and our turn signal, everything hooked up to the wires as I explained before. And to run those again for you, red is the turn signal on the left, yellow is the tail, and gray is the brake out of this particular harness here. And then again, we have our power going down and our ground on that side. And then our green for the right turn signal runs down into this crack right here, all the way along here, and you'll see it connects to the tan wire on the right-hand turn signal harness over here. So that's it. It's time to put everything back together right now, and then we'll get this thing dropped down, we'll hook up a trailer, and we'll see how she works. Alright guys, so it's all back on looking nice. A little dirty, but nice. It's time to drop this thing down, hook it up to a trailer, and see what it looks like. Alright guys, so with the sun coming in, I'm fighting with showing you the lights a little bit, but you can kind of see, if you see right now the car, both lights flashing, and the trailer lights, both lights are flashing. So far it's working awesome. It's time to bring this thing to the water and see how this thing dips in the water. Alright, so you can see we're towing right now. I'm going to go ahead and turn on autopilot. So I can get a chance to take my hands off the wheel and show you. All I did was touch the basically camera, dash cam, whatever it is there, and it pulled up. So you can see there it's towing pretty well. It's great because the camera can show you right where the hitch is at. And if you look through the back, you can see the ski's pulling nice. So you can't really tell that anything's behind you as of right now. You wouldn't expect to because it's under 800 pounds. But literally I can't tell the difference between driving the car with or without it. So far, so good. And one thing I'd like to point out to you guys, there will be a difference in how far you backed into the lake depending on the slope of the ramp. I'll put an illustration up right now to give you an idea of the difference. Most people would think that a steeper slope would be a bigger problem. The actuality is the steeper the slope, because water lays flat, the less far basically into the water that you have to back in. Now, while there's a little bit more danger because it is steeper, the ramp that we're about to go to right now actually is a super shallow ramp, which means that I have to back all the way to the water. It's actually kind of really shallow, but nonetheless, like I said, for those of you that might be worried about backing into a steep slope, don't worry about that because your ski is going to lift up even faster into the water as opposed to a non-steep slope. Alright guys, so we are approaching the lake right now, and I'm going to share with you my intentions. So what I want to do right now is I want to unstrap the back of the ski, and I want to back down into the dock, and I want to not have to get the back tires into the water, and that's the reason I kind of got a low-rise hitch, high-rise hitch and a low-rise trailer, because I don't want to have to get the rear-wheel drive wheels inside the slippery areas where obviously you could imagine what would happen. So I'm going to unstrap everything, we're going to back it out, we're going to see if this is a success or not. Wish me luck. Alright, so as you guys can see, I'm all the way back to the water, but I don't got the wheels in the water, and the ski is far enough to where the butt is in the water, enough to get that basically pumped down in the water and get this thing backed out. So I think so far this is a pretty good setup. Basically, it seems to be a successful launch. So we'll see when we get in the water, but I would say at this point, that's a wrap for this video. If you guys like this content, you guys are happy with this, definitely throw that thumbs up. And if you haven't already, click that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.